Nigeria launches one-stop shop for information on Nigerian businesses. Association of Bureau-de-Change Operators of Nigeria set to clean up house over regulatory hammer as CBN plans to refund unapproved licensing fees. Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority to invest $200 million on health infrastructure. This is Business Express and we are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us on the business side of life, and we start by telling you that Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Adeniyi Adebayo has launched a one-stop shop for information and performance of Nigerian businesses. It is the Corporate Sustainability Investor Report 2020, where 90 companies from different sectors to include extractive and energy, financial services sector, construction and media have been given a pass mark in areas of innovation, service delivery, sustainability management, ICT, ethical economics, human rights and environmental sustainability, among other criteria.
Last year, Nigeria generated $2.6 billion in foreign direct investments. I am optimistic that this report will be beneficial in providing key investors with additional information to make informed decisions on investment opportunities in the country.
Evident for many of the businesses who have to secure funding from beyond the shores of Nigeria, and for businesses who want to come to do business in Nigeria. They want to have an understanding that there's structure in place for managing business sustainability. We want businesses to show compliance with regulatory requirements. We want to help businesses enhance their reputation with consumers and their communities.
The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority says it plans to invest $200 million in building world-class hospitals across Nigeria. Managing Director of the authority, Uche Oji, says Nigerians should look out for the inauguration of roads across the country in the year 2022, which will be tolled. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that Oji stressed that the federal government and its partners through the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund are committing more funds towards the completion of ongoing projects.
And our flagship program is our world-class hospital that we're building here in Abuja. That will be a center for advanced medicine. The Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund at the moment has fully committed capital of about $1.7 billion. And this is really now focused on these projects. Lagos Ibadan.
And moving on, the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, has reaffirmed commitment of the federal government to prompt payment of salaries and the general welfare of workers. Idris, while interacting with the leadership of National Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, who were on a courtesy visit, noted that the government is not oblivious of the importance of a well-motivated workforce. He emphasized that the federal government will continue to work assiduously to eliminate hitches that may occur in the system so that prompt payment of workers' salaries will be sustained, while assuring the leadership of the association of the readiness of the Federal Treasury to continue to partner and collaborate with them on all matters that have to do with staff welfare and national development. He advised them to focus on issues that promote the unity and well-being of members and the country at large. The Central Bank of Nigeria has said it will commence the refund of 35 million naira minimum capital deposits to applicants of Bureau-de-Change licenses. This was contained in a statement signed by the Apex Bank's Director of Financial Policy and Regulations Department, Ibrahim Tukur. A non-refundable licensing fee of 1 million naira and a minimum capital of 35 million naira are part of the requirements for granting licenses to BDC operators. The new development comes after the Apex Bank banned the sale of forex to BDCs on grounds of illicit operations and graft. Meanwhile, the CBN has directed all deposit money banks to set up teller points at designated branches across the country to fulfill legitimate forex requests. And still on the development within the financial sector, the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, APCAN, has assured members of the public that they are still providing foreign exchange services. APCAN President Aminu Gwadebe gave this assurance, stressing that the recent pronouncement of the Central Bank of Nigeria does not stop BDCs from providing foreign exchange services as allowed by their operating licenses and also in their operating guidelines. He said BDCs are licensed to provide retail forex services, and while the dollar sale from CBN had helped in enhancing supply, the fact remains that BDCs are empowered to source forex from other sources and also to provide various services to members of the public. He stated that APCON had always worked with the CBN to ensure proper working of the FX market, and in line with this principle, they intend to engage with the Apex Bank to address and resolve all the issues that led to the recent action, including identification and sanctioning of erring BDCs where necessary. Let's take a look at the prevailing exchange rates this Friday before we continue with the issue of the day. Alasey is the CEO of MoneyWise and will be throwing some light on the forex issues before the country. You are welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good to have you again.
Yeah, it's nice to be here again.
A lot of commentary has been on the action of the CBN on foreign exchange. What's your take?
Well, if you look at what the reason for the action, I think it's a step in the right direction, even though the impacts, of course, on the BDCs and even the economy may not be what we want at the moment. And even though the impact also may be short term, I think it's a step in the right direction, considering some of the major points that the CBN mentioned are the reasons for this action that they've taken, like the grafting, racketeering, and everything going on, the fraud, money laundering. We can't afford that if we want the economy of Nigeria to actually grow.
Well, looking at it now, the immediate reaction is that the BDCs, particularly their leaders, are saying, let's come to the table with the Apex Bank to resolve some of these issues. Do you think before this point in time that we are in, could this whole thing have been averted?
To an extent, I think so, because there should have been some sort of monitoring activity going on between the CBN and the BDC operators, okay? So you are licensed to operate just like the bank. The banks don't just do what they like. Do you understand? So if I'm licensed to operate within these limits and parameters, such as the fact that I'm supposed to just do retail BDC transactions to end users who need $5,000 and little bits and pieces like that, and then you see me doing millions over the years. This doesn't happen in a day. it's been on and on for a period of time. So I think that this
It's
could
been
have
an
been
in and out thing.
Yeah, so this could have been minimized or averted if there had been proper monitoring in place to check the BDC activities that have been going on.
Okay, this directive by the CBN has occasioned the need for the deposit money banks to begin to adjust their operations to accommodate the issuance of forex. How would this be affecting their operations?
I really don't see it affecting it much because it's something they already do just on a minimal level. For example, if I wanted to make payment for things I'm bringing in for my small business, for example, Form M, the issue has always been, they've always issued Form M's and Form A's for services, medical bills, school fees and all of those things. So the issue has always been the availability of the funds. So with this influx of funds, I think banks should be having a right with carrying out these transactions. It shouldn't be, I don't see it being an issue for them to operate because they do these things normally in the bank, as you know.
But again, the public out there, you know, there's this pessimistic views that, well, the banks, well, handling of means, you know how it is like, you still see it on the streets,
Yeah,
you don't find it
particularly
in
the
bank.
hassles.
Then when it comes to forex, are you sure we're not going to be having some backyard stuff? These are fears. What would you say to allay to kind
I
of...
would say that they should embrace it first of all, and then it will normalize after a period of time. Usually when changes happen at the beginning, it's a bit unstable and rough, so it will adjust over a period of time. For example, you see that the dollar has even depreciated against the naira has depreciated against the dollar, so it's now 520 something as against what it was before this policy was put in place. So things will normalize over time. So what I would say is that we should give the bank some time to adjust to the new process, and before long I think everything will normalize.
So by and large, what are the short and long term effects of all of this for the banks, for the Apex Bank, for the BDCs, and for the forex demanding
populace and all of that? Well, for the BDCs, what I see happening is that if this policy holds, because you know it had been mentioned before and then reverted, if this continues and this is for final, then it would just be that they are coming back to what they were originally created to do, which is to sell retail forex to end users in bits and pieces. They were not licensed to do at that level of millions that we had seen over the years. So that would just be the adjustment to what they should have done normally. Now, I know that there's a lot of thing going on out there that they're stealing the livelihoods of people and all of that. Yeah, we understand that, but originally the intent is that they are retail forex sale sellers to people, for example, people who are coming from outside the country and all of that. For the end users, what it means is that I think it means that you can now get dollars at the cheaper rates. I think the only fear is that documentation, which has been the reason why people will opt for BDCs in the first place as against the bank, and then availability has been solved. Because before now, while I was at the bank, Form A could take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you needed to pay school fees.
Talking from experience.
Service. Yeah, from practical experience.
So is it also money-wise?
Well, when you consider the time wasting, it is not money-wise at that point. But if it is now available and I can get it at an official rate, which is cheaper than what I would get normally from the BDC, then for the user, I think it's a plus. It's a plus.
So by and large, is a good action for the economy?
I think it is. When we have to curb corruption, grafting, and all of that,
that we've been battling with. What do you think the Apex banks should do more, though they have promised to monitor the deposit money banks to ensure that this forex is available and also issued to genuine, legitimate.
Yes.
How do we determine that?
Well, there are documentations. For example, if you claim that you're paying for school fees, they're going to require your admission letter. They're going to ask for the invoice. The same thing for any professional fees. If you need to pay for a service, there are invoices, and then if you're traveling, for example, BTAs and PTAs, you need to present your passport and all of those things. So there are basic documentations normally that will be required. So of course, people say that the banks are not totally clean as well, but I think this is a better process than what we've had before now.
And you also see this going to kind of regulate the exchange rate by and large?
Over time, in the long term.
Okay, in the long term.
In the long term.
Thank you so very much, Toyin Alasey, CEO, MoneyWise, for sharing your thoughts on this burning issue.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you. Well, moving on, to ensure befitting retirement for workers, the head of Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemieson, has re-echoed the need for civil servants to prepare for retirement while in service. She was speaking at a town hall meeting organized on effective pension administration in the public sector. Musa Abubakar reports.
Life after service and pension is a conversation every civil servant and labor union members are eager to have, just as grey areas continue to mount in the implementation of pension reform and concern over plight of pensioners. This interactive session, convened by the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation, seeks to address challenges to effective pension administration in the public sector.
The Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation established a standing committee. These and other initiatives are to ensure that retired officers are supported and that they have rightful access to their entitlements.
Just a couple of weeks, the President gave this approval of over 100 billion to the contributory pension scheme, and then part of which is being used now to settle some of the areas.
Now that we have this consequential adjustment, because a lot of these state pensioners the bulk of their pension is coming from the states, and as it is now, a lot of states are not taking care of their pension liabilities.
The focal point is to learn more about the workings of the pension reform and chart a way forward for civil and public servants to enjoy the fruit of their labor after service. In Abuja, Musa Abubakar.
The commodities market is red this Friday, but gold is set to end the week positive despite the slide. Best numbers since late May. Let's see the commodities market. Market jitters slowed activities at the Nigerian stock market this week, coupled with profit taken. The market witnessed some boost to reverse losses a day after a meeting between the CBN and BDC operators. The all-share index recorded an increase of 0.16% to settle at 38,547.08 basis points, with equity capitalization at 20.083 trillion naira. 3,877 million shares traded in 4,700 deals valued at 1.8 billion naira exchanged hands by investors. The financial services industry is still leading trade in the market. And moving on is global market, where Chinese tech stocks end their worst month since 2008. Neka Oko has the details.
Hello and welcome to Global Market segment. We begin from Asia, where a week of volatile trading in Chinese markets has left Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index 5% lower. Both Hong Kong and mainland listed stocks fell on Friday, losing the partial recovery they made after diving earlier this week. The Hang Seng Index closed about 1.35% lower at 25,961.03. The Shanghai Composite dropped 0.42%, while the Nikkei 225 dipped 1.80%. European stocks tracked their Asian counterparts into the reds after closing the previous session at all-time highs. Germany's DAX was down 0.81%, London's FTSE 0.71% at 7,028.07, and CAC 40 of France 0.09% at 6,626.59. On Contracts tied to the major U.S. stock indices were also subdued in early trades as a soft earnings report from Amazon threatened to dampen an otherwise strong month ahead of July's final day of trading. Nasdaq 100 fell 1.11%, the S&P 500 shed 0.65%, and Dow Jones Industrial Average 0.29%. It was mixed trading for major stocks in Africa despite global fall in stocks by other emerging markets. Kenya, Tunisia and Namibia traded in positive territory. Ghana GSE Composite was marginal, while South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 lagged, declining 1.15% at 62,667.83. That's global markets. Neka Oko, it's back to the...
Thank you, Neka, and Business Express returns after this break. Welcome back. The Royal African Society has announced the election of Ms. Aruma Otehas, its new chair in succession to journalist and broadcaster Zainab Badawi, who is stepping down after 7 years at the end of her second term. Ms. Ote is a member of Global Leadership Council at Said Business School at the University of Oxford and a member of the London Stock Exchange Africa Advisory Group. She was previously Treasurer and Vice President of the World Bank, Director General Securities and Exchange Commission of Nigeria and a group of Vice President and Treasurer at the African Development Bank. As chair, Ms. Ote will be responsible for leading the council that sets the society's strategic direction for the achievement of its mission. She will serve a renewable term of 3 years. Well, that wraps this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send us your comments, observations and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. Be safe out there, and I am Benny Adams saying keep thinking and doing business.